call this meeting order, please rise. Flags, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, still have a mic. Roll call.
Mr. Caucus, Mayor Caucus.
Here.
Mrs. Passio.
Here.
Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mrs. Moore. Here. Mr. Farrell.
At.
Mrs. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Wood.
Here.
Mr. Daysor.
Here.
And Mr. Wright.
Here.
Who was that last person? We'll make the record clear that she's white. Okay, public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 6, 2015. And 2, emailed to the retrospective Courier Post on January 6, 2015. New business discussion for this upcoming council meeting on April 7th. Public hearing on the COLA ordinance and the dog tether ordinance. Any questions about those two? Nope. Discussion of possible ordinance for amending planning zoning fees, regulation of boarding up structures after fire, eliminating captain's position and adding another sergeant. That's a lot of stuff. Okay, the planning board has submitted a preliminary guideline to change the fees. The fee structure was a little bit dated, but we're going to hold off a little bit because I think we're waiting for the planning board solicitor to give us the fees for the.
Oh, you didn't get this?
I did not get that. Oh, you got it?
I thought it was, it says honorable mayor and council, but I got it from June. June gave it to me. You didn't get this?
No. Well, I'll read it.
It's 100 and 300.
Well, then we can do it. What we can do is, there's just an ordinance that sets the fees for the planning board. The planning board solicitor and the planning board engineer had recommended modest changes with certain things just to keep it up to current standards of fees. But there was an addition that they wanted us to do. And I'll just give you a quick reading of what they're asking for. Conceptual and formal review request. The prospective applicant or another interested party may, upon the payment of the designated fee, including escrows, for professional review and submission of the conceptual and formal review request application, request the planning zoning board to make an informal review of the proposed project or use of the site situated in any designated zoning district. This is a workshop. The idea is instead of someone having to do a full-blown application, they get an opportunity to come in. The problem that the planning board was doing is we were allowing people to come in and nobody was prepared. You know, the engineer hadn't reviewed anything, not even looked up. Well, even in mind, you know, and then we were putting people on the spot.
Yeah, but that was already taken care of for formal and informal. This is covering informal.
This covers informal.
So there's no more informal.
No more
There
informal.
is no more formal.
No more. They're going to pay.
That's all.
They're going to pay.
It's still informal.
It's still informal with the minimal escrow fees and the minimal application.
It doesn't require you to do all the, do the full.
With fees and also the period of waiting.
14 days. That was the problem. There was never any time.
But you can still call it.
Well, here's what it says.
It's not requiring the full.
Understood.
Yeah.
Can it be voted
So
on
you're
that
not
night, or they
getting
have
this
to
full
come back
amount of
with
money, Russ. It's informal. It doesn't cost as much.
You don't have to
full
submit
application?
All this does is say,
Right.
do
Oh, I
you,
love it.
it's giving people some guidance. No voting for happening.
That's got to be made clear.
Oh, it does make it clear.
It does make it
It
clear?
makes it clear.
Everybody gets paid.
Well, so here it is, making a determination as to the viability of the proposed project or use in the designated zoning district. All requests for, now this is also an opportunity for people to get clarification on an ordinance. So for example, we had somebody who just wanted to ask, there was something that wasn't listed in our permitted uses, and they wanted to know if we consider this equal to that.
And your informal opinion, 35 cents, which is small company.
So now,
It needs to be clear.
It's not going to be cost.
That's how you do it. Because even at this, so you go to informal, and it's not the whole board, it's two people.
no, this is the whole board, but it's not a formal application.
It's not from.
They haven't advertised.
So there's, you're not, what everybody needs to understand is that does not bind the board.
It does not bind.
Q&A almost.
That's what it is.
But it's an informed Q&A because we want our professionals to be able to have review.
One of the problems we're having is people want our professional, we can't answer these questions. So they say, well, do I need a use variance, bulk variance, you know? So this way it
It
pays.
requires some minimum
Yes.
investigation.
So the board has recommended the $100 application fee to be approved, as well as a $150 engineering and $150 legal escrows.
That's very reasonable.
It's very reasonable.
Question,
So if you want to just review this,
And
Yes.
the other,
As person who collects the money. So they come in, they do this, they do the informal. They come in front of the planning board, you tell them, well, this is the avenue I think you should
you're going to need to get a
you
full
should take.
site plan.
So now they have to come in with another application.
Yes.
The regular fees for a site plan,
Yes.
for a variance,
Yes.
for,
this is fireplace money.
okay, I just want to make that clear, that I'm collecting this twice. Will it be the same application both times? Will we be using the same application?
No, it's two different applications.
It's because the formal application is much more involved, and you have to give it much more stuff. This is conceptual, so you're gonna give it the base information, you're gonna tell them the zone, you're gonna show them what your plan is. If you got a water issue, you'll preliminarily address that, but you're not gonna solve it.
You're not showing up with a transit or.
So we have to come up now with another application.
Or can you just stamp the form informal now?
Well, no, because here's the problem. We hand that other form. It says on there, they have to get the list of all the residents within 200 feet. They have to send notice out to everyone. They have to put an ad in the newspaper. We don't want them to do that. They're just coming there saying to us, so you were there, hey, do I need a formal application if I want to do this? And we've said yes to people, we've said no.
Listen,
We've had a couple.
somebody wants to know whether or not, that what they want to do is covered. And you make an application, you pay the application fee, you don't pay any escrows, and your whole application fee is, I want a determination by the board that this is a permissible use.
They are collecting escrows.
Well, because it's a permissible use, there's nothing for anybody to, there's no engineering. on
Well,
it.
here's the next
It's
example.
permissible use.
The other
It's
day-
not an engineering question.
Here's what happened. The other night,
You have to listen.
a potential resident comes in and says, look, I'm under contract to buy this piece of property. I want to buy it, but when I came to the municipality to find out if it was zoned properly, I found out that Mr. Knight considered the property abandoned, and that the pre-existing use had been vacated, because it was a
It was a
duplex.
non-conforming use.
There was a duplex.
I understand.
But the opinion, in the end, the opinion of the solicitor was, it wasn't actually abandoned. If someone was continuing to live there, even though they weren't coming in and getting the yearly tenant, landlord-tenant application, right? They weren't getting the yearly inspections, they hadn't abandoned the use. So we basically felt that Keith was being too strong and said, well, if you just continue to, it has 2 meters, yes, it has 2 kitchens, yes. So it's not like you abandoned it. And so we said, you don't need a variance. The zoning officer didn't feel comfortable saying that. It was not,
You have to do that formally, you understand that? You can't do it informally.
but how do you tell them they don't need a variance?
You have to do it formally. They make an application for you to determine that there's no variance needed because.
But that's the zoning application. He deemed that she needed it. And she disagreed with
So
him.
now you come to the zoning board for a determination.
I personally, I don't like the informals either. I'm with you a little bit.
But it's because the only way you can override your zoning officer's opinion is formally.
Is that right? What do you think about workshops, though? I think that was where this
Workshops
would
are a great idea because it gives the applicant an idea.
be. So should we just call this a workshop? But then the workshop doesn't have the full board. It doesn't have the full.
Well, you can set up a workshop and then act any way you want. There's no, pro forma for how you do the workshop. It is what it is. You advertise it as a meeting.
You see what he's saying?
There's no action.
We're making a determination on an application that is an application. Because we're contradicting Keith most of the time.
Right.
See, Keith doesn't feel comfortable making determinations on certain things.
Then he should say, you need to go to the zoning board for determination. Because says, you said, no thing, he says, this is what's going on, this is a.
On timeline.
I need a decision, I need an interpretation by the zoning board. And the applicant, because somebody, you have to come, and then.
That's a much higher threshold to just get a determination.
That wasn't the only one, right? The antenna for the.
Well, the antenna, we kicked him back and said, you need a full site plan.
Right.
They came here to feel, you get that, to feel out the board. We've been allowing this feeling out the board.
Well,
We
the
had some,
future of
That's a
another
workshop.
application.
that's a workshop.
That's a workshop. Filling out the board's a workshop.
Non-committal.
Here's my idea, here's a sketch, it's not a full-blown knocked-out, drag-out site plan application. I'm not giving you all my calculations for drainage, parking, yada, yada, yada. But here's what I want to do. I want to build this such and such square foot building, but this is the use it's going to be. It's within, it's a permitted use within the zone. I'm going to ask for some relief with parking because of the nature of this. requires really much more than I need, and you're gonna have a conversation, and you're gonna get a feel for the board. More often than not, assuming that everything that's presented to the board is what's presented in the formal hearing, 2 months later, boards are not likely changing their mind and screwing people, but whatever they say, they're not bailing.
Can people go to a workshop, and other towns, I've gone to workshops, and I don't know if we've ever pulled away. Can you go to a workshop without filling out the full application thing, or no? We allow people to come to a workshop without a formal application?
Now, there's gotta be some applications, I know what.
So then we should have something,
Now, there's informal, Worcester Township does some sort of informal.
they have an informal, I've been to them.
And I've been there on the other side of it, of course, and we've always submitted what we're doing, we may not have filled out the damn application.
You're halfway there. You're more than-
We've given them our plan, because then the engineer's looking at it too, and they're giving us their input about, well, you're gonna have to do this on the plan, or I want some more information about that, or I don't like the way you see it, whatever it may be. So, because the goal of the workshop, anyway, when I'm in a workshop, when I'm taking a client to the workshop, my goal is to understand what the board and their professionals want from my client. So when I come in, I'm not coming twice. Okay, I don't want to come twice. I want to do preliminary site plan and final site plan if I don't have an overly complex issue, even everybody wants to do too. Okay, so I want to know, tell me your concerns. So when I make this formal application, I'm addressing your concerns. Because eventually you got to vote. So if I address all your concerns, I got a pretty good shot of winning.
So do you like the idea of then the zoning officer just giving a yes or no on the zoning application, and then it should come from the planning board? Because that's what's happening right now.
The zoning board guy says that this is.
He says it's not clear, like, for example, now, I had a personal experience one time in Magnolia where the zoning officer and I disagreed. And he actually referred me to council. I came in front of council, and council made a determination saying it was de minimis. You know what I mean? It was like I was changing the sign. And the idea was, was the amount of work I was changing over 50%?
Yeah.
Now, should that have gone in front of the planning board?
Yes, my opinion, this is my opinion. It's a planning board issue.
I think we can at least do the fees. Maybe this informal, we have to think about a little bit more, because what it's doing is it's allowing people, we can't give them a formal determination.
We just have to make it.
But here's an example. They asked, one person came in and said, I want to open a distillery on my first plate. The distillery is not listed in our permitted uses. And we were all thinking, well,
There's no way they're floated down.
That's
the only reason.
Exactly.
so should they come for a formal application because it didn't say in the ordinance distillery? Now, if you remember the first time you and I met, the first time Len and I ever met, I was in front of Gloucester Township's zoning board. And I was there because I wanted to buy my building, and it was not zoned for a side business. Now, Len is sitting in the front seat with your partner, I think.
Sorry.
Maybe it was Addison. So the two of them were sitting in the front board, and I had an attorney, and I'm sitting there, and he pulls me while I'm testifying. He pulls me aside. He doesn't know who I am, and says, "Do you know if they deny you, you're going to have to move out of your building?" And I said, "Yes, because I don't want to be in a building that I'm not allowed to be in, even though for 6 years Ed Sayers had given me a mercantile license, and I had this mercantile license, and I kept saying, but when I went to buy the building, he's like, well, you're really not zoned to be there, and I had to get a variance. So that's where do you understand?
Can we simplify things by saying that from now on, informal requires an application and a small fee, and formal requires an application?
He's saying informal, we really don't even have the right to make a decision.
No, you're not making a decision.
You're hearing them.
You're giving them guidance.
That's it.
That's all. And then,
It's just the two to choose from. And you say at the beginning of your meeting, anybody here not having formal or informal filled out, if so, stand up. And you hear them, well, you'll have to come back at the next meeting. Thank you, next.
Yeah, so they start asking the question, that's the craziness.
is this a permissible use? It's not an informal.
We had, the reason this is all coming up, again, we had a resident, and we'll probably have it in the council meeting, it was addressed to the mayor and council, that the planning board made a determination on his property, and he was bad-mouthing us, saying that we did this. Well, it wasn't a determination, it was an informal. He was saying, I want to do this, I want to sell my building, and now he's bad-mouthing us, saying, they denied me. We didn't deny him, he never actually applied. We told him that he would have been a continuation or an expansion of a non-conforming use. And we said, that's very difficult to expand something that's not allowed to happen.
stop them at the gate,
And but see-
informal, informal, you gotta fill out one type of application. You
And
stop.
there's no decision, and there's things, and the board decides if it's common. And if the board says, we're not hearing it, and I think you should give the people their money back, so I want an informal on whether or not this is permissible use.
You gotta come for a formal application.
You make a formal application to apply to the zoning board that says, I want a determination that this use is in fact permissible, even though it's not specifically delineated. That's a formal decision, and there's no such thing as an informal on that. That's a decision of zoning and use.
Right.
Okay? Informals are for
Concepts.
concepts,
You know what, why it's
The
complicated?
idea,
Why it's complicated?
so that should be informal.
That's the problem is,
Two forms.
that's the
easy.
problem. Trying to be nice is
No,
causing the
We're
problems.
not saying be nice. We're not saying
When
be
that's it,
nice.
simplifying, there is no simplifying. The only way the board can make a render decision is if it's an application. And see, we're trying to be nice and say, well, we don't want you to spend $1,000. We don't want you to show up with a lawyer. You gotta show up with a lawyer, you gotta show up with an engineer, you gotta show up with a traffic plan. We're trying to be nice, and all this is causing us.
We're gonna get in trouble.
and if you're an entity and you're coming to an informal use, you'll have to show it to the lawyer. Because that's the way it is.
Yeah. We'll work on this. We'll at least get the fees resolved.
Yeah, the fees are easy.
And,
And you want me to, if you want me to reach out and talk to Dave?
Yes,
about
please.
Conceptual.
because Dave will tell you more what the problem is.
Okay, I'll talk to Dave.
But a lot of it goes back to ordinance.
The other thing is something you said, that if they're denied by Keith, he denies him as the zoning officer, that then they can't do an informal, they have to do a
You have
full-blown.
to do it formal, because now they're asking for a decision of interpretation of our ordinance.
See, that's wrong.
And that's a function of the board, and it can only. be
Keith's
done
denying
by-
them, and they're coming here, and we're overriding Keith without an application.
And that's no good.
The woman who came in to
Maybe the
determine,
denial should come up to at least Candy or the board before the.
he has the authority. We've given him the authority. He reads the ordinance. He visited the site.
That's why I get kicked back from Keith all the time saying that we need to update our ordinances. We
Yes.
need to change our ordinances.
Well, Keith-
We don't have an ordinance.
And he's been
in place
giving
for
them to us.
XYZ.
We've done
He
enough.
does have a ton of them.
You can tell Joyce, we did more last year than they did in 10
I
years.
have a question.
They pay for it too.
Why can't you tell Keith that it's either yes or it's no, and that
That is it.
solves the gray area?
That's it.
Yes.
He denies the zoning permit.
Correct.
That requires them to go get approval, and there's only,
And if he's not sure, it's a no.
that's right.
What if he realizes that it's a no, just because our ordinances aren't up to date or things along
But
that?
that's the way it is. For example, in Gloucester
That happens
Township,
all the time.
in Gloucester Township,
Can't you say pending the next?
well, here's the problem. In Gloucester Township is a great example. They don't allow electronic signs. Now, that ordinance should be changed. If you talk to their zoning officer, they'll say, yes, we need to change the ordinance. The town's thinking about it. Okay? They've been thinking about it for 3 years. Well, what are you supposed to do?
We're the same
So
way.
what happens is you have to come in front of a formal, and they say yes to everybody. They vote yes, but they haven't changed because the council hasn't changed the ordinance. It's a bad
And it
situation.
takes
And
time to
that's
change
the fact.
the
Now, if you're
ordinance.
cynical, you say, you'll say, the reason they don't change this is because then they're collecting all these fees for people to come in and get the variance.
And I don't think
That's
there's,
just cynical.
I'm not saying, I think they just don't get it done. Yeah, he was going with that.
No, that's true.
Okay, so, dog tethering, no problem. Pending zoning boards, regulation on boarding of structures. Mr. Liberty was here a few minutes ago, he spoke to,
He spoke to me, he told me when, I will look at these samples Joyce will send to me, and I'll come up with something which I'll send to Fred, and we'll get it done. I think it's a good
I
idea
think they
personally.
like the Collinswood one is
You
the
like
one
the
they
Collinswood
like.
one?
so to make everybody on the board understand what happened is, when we do have our infrequent fires that need to be boarded up, the gentlemen or the businesses that come into town act almost like ambulance chasers. They rush into town trying to board it up, and what this ordinance would do is it would regulate.
They'd have to get permission.
Well, what example happened was one guy started to board it up, another guy started to board it up. Well, who, and they're all telling the person, well, no, I'm the guy, so there just has to be a mechanism. Am I saying it correctly? That they're like,
So at least they're registered. It doesn't stop the scumbagness, but at least they'll get registered. They'll know who they are.
I think there's a term.
Yeah, it is, that's a very legal term.
well, don't pay him, pay me,
This one's really the board help of the.
No, but the idea is
You
that,
can't do work in our town of that nature unless you're registered to do work in our town.
yeah, and you agree that if somebody started, you can't rip off his boards.
Permit like that.
Yeah, we're gonna just register.
So the fireman will know who to call to dispatch, right?
Is that usually the insurance companies that would send somebody?
But it happens too quickly. Our fire department is not allowed to leave a building until it's secure. So these companies show up and they start negotiating with the
Yeah,
homeowner.
who's looking at their burnout house, it's really not a good.
And it's not fair that they're.
What the friends say, they're behind the yellow tape. They're leaning, they were actually all leaning on the car, the police chief's car, the fire chief's car, waiting to see who's gonna be the first one to pounce onto the homeowner. It's just, you know,
It's terrible.
take me to board it up. Yeah.
So this was brought to attention because there was a fire on Chestnut and there was an issue that happened. And it came into a fist fight and somebody had to get arrested or something because the two boarding up guys started fighting with each other.
Yeah. And this way, and we'll keep our fire department people appraised as who is authorized. And if somebody shows up, then there's.
So we would do the ordinance to set the parameters as to who is allowed, like have insurance, whatever.
Yeah.
Then after that, do we actually appoint anyone or not, or just?
I think the fire company has the list and then they say you can call one of these people.
Well,
They have to apply.
We got to apply, there's going to be a mechanism of application, there's going to be a fee, and depending on what we're going to require them to do, then there's going to be a
And
process.
that might get rid of some of the fly-by-nighters.
Yes.
When they
Yes.
see they have to come up with some money.
So,
And
and
insurance.
it may be that we write this, that the appropriate fire official or his designee reviews it and all that stuff, and makes recommendations or whatever.
This was brought up by the chief, the deputy chief.
It's a problem.
I told Fred I would look
I
at
just want to
it.
inject something, I know it's not on the list, but I want to, after what happened over the weekend with whoever was going through town, since we're talking about ordinances and Keith and everything else, whoever was going through town, cutting down, you and I talked about it, about the trees that they were going around, it was random, it was a guy with a flyer, had gone around town, was trimming back excessive trees, branches, brush, and advising the homeowner, here's the fee for you to do it, not a big deal, I'm just gonna dump it curbside, and that's it.
And the town will
And
pick it up.
town, and we'll pick it up. Well, it wasn't just one pile, we're talking piles that were 5.5 to 6 feet long, 3.5 to 4 feet high. These piles were just excessive branches all dumped. So we did get a copy, I went to a resident's house, got a copy of the flyer. I talked to Keith about it, because you and I spoke, and you said that Keith go after it. And Keith's comment was, and I wanted it to be something that we can discuss, his thing was, is he could not issue him a court summons without a certified letter first, and that was something that we needed to amend. And I said, okay.
Is that in our ordinance that we have to give people a certified letter?
I don't know.
He's saying it is, and he says we have to revise the procedure, and also for secondary offenses. And I said to him, I'll bring it up to.
Is this the mercantile license?
No, this is,
not.
this falls somewhere between soliciting, because we have a soliciting ordinance, so the guy was soliciting, but he wasn't. And then he also there's an ordinance that says if you put out branches, you're supposed to cut them off.
And
Now,
the
the borough
resident
can.
questioned him in reference to that and said, isn't there an ordinance in place that they have to be bound or cut up, especially since you're doing it? And he goes, no, don't worry about it, the town will pick them up. Well, Central was loaded with these
Okay.
piles of
So
stuff.
we need to look, if you send me those, I'll look, but I want to look at the mercantile one too. Because maybe we should have something that says that you can't do business in our town without having a license.
And he did it on the weekend.
Slash
A lot of towns, you have to pay $250.
Washington Township, yes.
$300, and I do one job in that
I
town.
know, it kills me
Really?
too. But here's the thing,
Because walking is-
but only if you pull a permit, see, that's the funny, if you don't pull a permit, there's no way to catch these people.
Well,
So,
now they're, now.
you know, guys coming in cutting lawns don't get mercantile licenses.
Right, but that's where it's on us. We have Keith, we have public works guys, we have police
Yeah.
department, we have
Exactly.
fire and EMS.
That's it.
And we all have to be on the same
This
page.
wasn't
They
just-
need to know who to notify when this going on,
Yeah.
because I got them on Wednesday night before the Chestnut fire. That was on Thursday, right?
I don't remember.
Or it was Thursday, so it was before the weekend, because I saw the truck on Central.
And he came out over the weekend also.
And I called the chief, and I asked him what we do about this. I said, they're loading up tons of crap on the street, and I'm just, and I think our code says that they have to take their stuff. to the
Yes.
yard. And that's why I called.
Yeah, commercial
He said, "Oh,
persons
we don't
take
do anything with that." So that was the response.
See, he was violating the fact that he wasn't taking it, which I think the ordinance
Exactly.
says, if you cut it down, you gotta remove it.
And I don't think-
Or bind it and put it at the curb and use it for the correct side.
Well, they need to be aware of it, though. We're gonna press the issue.
Well, yeah,
His
they-
concern is that we try not to offend the residents, because
Well,
there's
what about
also,
the
the
peddlers
residents
license,
required
something like that?
It's
to
200.
go on to the.
We have a solicitor's license.
We have a solicitor's permit, the police
You're
department.
supposed to come in, get registered, and go out.
Well, that part of it is, then, is just education of the community and something.
That's it.
That says, before you do business, make sure your contractor shows you his permit or license to do business in our town.
And And that is something that, I mean, because this woman that I spoke to was,
Stuff you and I know.
no, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know what, because now that puts more of a burden on us, and there should have been something to try to stop it. I'm not against people, and you and I talked about this too, about cleaning up their properties, but this was not just, you saw.
And this
was
person took
not just
advantage.
one pile.
This guy took advantage.
These were huge piles.
Did you
Yes.
sign this, gentlemen?
No,
That-
you can't find him. I got a flyer, I think.
We need to review, because there's another classic one, this is sending a certified letter hurts us a little bit, because, say for example, someone doesn't shovel their walk. By the time you send them the letter, the snow is melted and it's gone already, and we want people just to shovel their walks. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't want to find people all over the place, but at the same time, you know. I don't remember that being in the ordinance, but it must be under the property maintenance, right? Is it in the property maintenance code?
You can exempt,
We can exempt
you
certain
can
things.
exempt lawn cutters, you can exempt the people who come and shovel people's walks, from the licensing. But guys who are doing trees, and guys who are doing boarding up, and major stuff, are,
Or
I should
clean
say,
outs.
people.
Like they hire a company to
You know,
come in and clean out the house.
HVAC.
Yeah,
I believe
you know,
our-
you can,
our
you
cash
can.
Your HVAC doesn't even fall underneath the New Jersey code for inspection, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Signs, that's the only thing, the electrical one, but not the ductwork. Signs don't fall underneath, fall under anything really, it's more of a zoning issue, signs tend to be zoning. And we're the
It's
foot
always changing.
electrician.
You know, years ago, I didn't have to get an electrical license, I didn't need it, now you do, just for swapping it out. You know,
Yeah, just to
for-
make that connection. Yeah. Low voltage used to not need an electrical inspection.
Right.
Now they changed
So
that.
you-
It is a problem, it is something we have to address, but it may be addressed by getting rid of the certified.
That's it, I told him I would bring it up.
Or having the police be aware that, you know, they
So
can't do this.
if we dig up wherever that is, I'll try.
And like I said, about the peddlers, can't we have a sign that says all, they have to be licensed? Can't we have
Well,
signs that?
We have an ordinance, and ignorance is no excuse to have an ordinance.
Well, I understand that, but if it's,
It doesn't need to be posted,
why shouldn't it be?
because people don't read signs, I mean,
It
the sign
doesn't-
business.
It's not the point, but at least you can say there's an entrance, I mean, there's a sign at the entrance to town stating this, that, I understand. You know, it's great that you sit there with like that, but it's the truth. It's like education.
It does,
they're
I
very
agree.
informed.
We
So
try to
whether
educate,
it's like
but the point
It's
is
in an
that,
ordinance that no one's reading, but putting a sign up, we put up signs that say we're a clean community, what's the difference?
Well, we're gonna have a newsletter soon, and it could go in the
they
newsletter.
don't have, the website helps. But the ordinance, it's a mess, trying to communicate with people, I agree. The woman knew that the guy was lying to her, and yet
She
she's,
questioned it,
and she still did it though.
she questioned it, and he told her, and she said,
It's
okay,
convenient
fine.
to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's cheap.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
Under
yeah.
this
I mean,
bundling
you know.
of the sticks ordinance, okay. I go out one day with a little trusty handy dandy chainsaw, and I cut down, I live in town, and I cut down all this stuff, and I create the same pile that this guy with the business created. Can you cite me?
Yes,
Okay, then you can cite the damn homeowner who hires somebody. to
that's
do
what I
it.
said.
You absolutely.
I get yelled at for saying something.
I
Not by you,
Okay.
by, I think Paul yelled at me.
Otherwise, then I just have you, my next door neighbor, come cut my trees down, stuff down, and put it in front of my house, and I argue, I didn't do it, and I go to your house, do it, and you say, I didn't do it.
So ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
The homeowners are liable.
She knew, she
The
knew.
homeowners are liable.
She questioned it.
If I put a sign up and I don't get a permit, I'm not responsible. The property
The
owner
property
is
owners.
responsible, you know?
I mean, I'll come in after them, but the town's coming after
You-
me,
you-
because they can find me, I live in town. I live in town, they can
Now,
find
the
me.
trash ordinance states
Yes.
that if you get work done in your home by a contractor, the contractor is responsible to take the
Correct.
debris.
Yeah.
But if you do it yourself, then we do take small
Small
amounts
amounts.
of it.
Which is, once again, to determine.
Correct.
So that contractor should have taken that.
Absolutely.
Correct.
It was clear, we should say.
Absolutely.
Now, there is a separate issue, and I don't mean to get on it too much, because I think it's more of a committee issue, a question issue. The borough does own the chipper, the borough owns the building. You know, the problem with that is, it's a matter of anything else. I think it's no different than when somebody has a refrigerator that they're putting out. They call Public Works up, they say, I want to put a refrigerator out, they notify us, we go get it. I personally think we could do that to an extent for chipping. We're not, you know, if a homeowner, you know, like you just said, you do that. You say, look, I'm gonna go cut a tree up. You call Public Works up and say, when should I do it? And they say, well, we're gonna do some chipping. And we've done that in the past.
I like that.
We've done that in the
I didn't know
past.
that. I
People
didn't know that.
in the district call you up and say, oh, we did this, come pick it up. it's a little different than one person.
Well, it was after the fact, this particular situation, it's after the fact. And those people were hiring somebody.
Days, he was here more than one day. It wasn't just one day.
It is a little bit more work, and it is a committee. Okay, elimination of captain position, adding another sergeant. Right now, we've done an acting sergeant, who, the reason we have an acting sergeant is because the sergeant who was running the patrol was moved to the detective bureau, which caused this patrol not to have a sergeant. The way we've done it now, which I think is a better way, we put somebody in an acting position instead of an interim position, because then we don't swear them in as a sergeant. But there is an issue that we need to have a sergeant there, because obviously civil service defines someone who manages other people as a sergeant. So what we need to do is we need to amend our ordinance to allow for a fifth sergeant. But I think that we've thought that the idea should be, well, if we're going to allow a fifth sergeant, things might change again in the future, we should at least eliminate the captain's position, because we don't want to leave something hanging open. And just to make everybody, because I do like to talk, Wildwood had this problem. Wildwood got sued because they put their ordinance and said how many people they wanted. They didn't follow their ordinance. A resident sued the town. The judge won. The judge said yes.
So we have to move on this.
We have to do this properly. So we'll fix the ordinance, and then what we'll do is we will post on the board who's eligible for this sergeant position. We will interview, and just to make clear how I think interviews should go nowadays is, because we're hiring in public works, we're hiring in police, we're hiring in fire, we're hiring hopefully in other departments, each department head will be that person who has a say, and then I think personnel, finance, all comes together to do it. Instead of, the reason I don't think just the committee, because it does affect every other committee. When we do these hiring, it's not just public works committee, but it's a finance issue. Like tonight we're going to talk about what we've talked about before, making some moves on personnel. Public works already wants to do it. Now it's the other committees that just agree and we move forward with this. So we'll do that. Hopefully the goal would be to have this done by June, would be the goal, to have this done.
It would have to be read for 2 months.
We'll read it, we'll make the amendment coming on the April 7th meeting.
Okay.
Public hearing on the May meeting, post the job, June, hopefully it all moves quickly.
Now, if you're short, you can always have, there's enough time for advertising, you can always have a public hearing.
It's not a huge deal, because we have somebody acting in that position. It's not like it's an issue. Sewer adjustment fees, everyone knows what that is typically, people pay wrong. Discussion of right of way agreement from Fiber Tech. Joyce had some interesting information on that. Did you want to elaborate on that?
That is that Verizon mumbo jumbo that I sent you. I guess Fires is finally coming to Runnemede. That's my take on
Yeah,
this.
they pay us.
It doesn't look like there's anything
It's
about
part of the
moving money
taxes.
here.
I don't understand how it works.
I don't understand.
I thought there was a state statute that allows for utilities all to use existing poles. Is that right, Mark? Isn't there some kind of, that commonality? There's supposed to be commonality.
Communities have, we're used to collecting a fee for fire.
Well, we actually get almost 30 grand every year from Comcast, because we were one of the first communities that had cable back when it was Garden State, back in the 70s. But I talked to actually a mayor of another town yesterday, and he said, you get 30 grand, they get zip.
Our
So
poles.
was that something when they initially had to run the lines?
Did you
that
find
that was
out
the
that we
reason
asked
why?
for, I was under the impression that the state came in and said, they take the fees now, and if there's existing
Well,
poles,
that makes
it's,
sense. That makes sense.
No.
I'll find out.
Franchise, use our poles.
That's-
well, they're not our poles.
No, that's,
We grant an easement to, say, the electric company. The electric
Some of
company
this
can't
is-
deny Verizon,
Some of
can't
this,
deny.
yeah, we can't deny, we're charging them a reasonable access fee maybe, but this is not necessarily all above ground.
No, well, it's a right to pole attachment, and what's the other language that they use here? Pole attachment and conduit use, so they're not being clear as to what that is.
Well, it's possible.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not every neighborhood has.
but if the kind about, I was, that was advocate part, so the poles in place, it's not ours, there's already an easement for the pole to exist, so they're just piggybacking on the easement, we really have to say about that. They're not violating any of our ordinances. And if there's a conduit in place underground already, there's an easement, and they're just going inside that easement, and it's the same thing, once again, they're not doing anything.
Because we had an application for Verizon wanted to put a Wi-Fi tower. And we made them come back for full site plan approval. They were arguing this commonality, that they were allowed to put this up because you're allowed to do it. And then somebody on the board was very nice, asked, well, you can allow other carriers to put it on your building. They said, no, it's our building, we're not allowing anybody on it. Oh, wait a second, didn't you just say the commonality, everyone's allowed to do it? It was the Bell building on Blackbird Pike. They wanted to put a little
That's
antenna.
good, I like that, that was a good question.
So fiber tech doesn't have to come in front of the board?
So
No.
it's sort of combination.
No, it's not as any planning issue.
The only question is there a way to rate, charge a
We'll
fee?
find out.
Do you want me to call him, or will you call him? You want me
Who?
This Sparfoni, the legal contracts manager, find out how much money they're giving us.
There you go.
Oh,
That's
I'm
a
gonna
great
find
idea.
out. Let's answer that question.
Who's in charge of that?
We can ask them.
Money you're getting, that's a good one.
That's a great. Discussion of sewer cleanout agreement with Belmar. Just let everyone know that this was brought up, the sewer department does not have a vacuum machine. We've been using it from a private vendor. We reached out to the private vendor and our neighbors to see if they would give us a quote for basically a yearly type of service. So Belmar has a very reasonable one. There's some language that needs to be clarified a little bit because they basically said they would charge us $250 an hour. So to give you an example, $250 an hour compared to we were paying $1,500 for a private contract.
For.
The clean out of the pump
Yeah,
stations.
Pump station, especially.
$1,500 an hour?
$1,500 to clean out,
Per clean.
How many hours,
Per-
how many hours does it take to clean one station?
an hour.
Take an hour station.
All right, yes.
I don't think that's
Here's my question. That 250, does that include disposal?
It doesn't say that we have to pay for it.
I'm sure it does.
No.
If you read the agreement,
Because
the agreement doesn't.
Clemson offered up the use of their pump.
Belmar's claims that CCMUA, you don't have to pay.
Who said that?
Oh, it's not in their agreement. We don't have to pay for it. They don't.
So what did Clementon say?
Clemson said that they would do it anytime we needed it, but
I'll
we
ask-
had to
I'll
pay
ask
the
them
disposal
about
fee
disposal.
of what they pumped out.
Yeah.
But we'll just put it in.
Which isn't just the sewage, it's the gunk, the grease and everything
We'll
else.
just put it in, and they're responsible.
Yeah,
Goes into the
it is a little bit vanilla, I know
This
that.
is-
Yeah, why don't I go check that?
Yeah.
There, now you want to look? Okay.
Yeah. But when they cleaned us out,
Did you go that?
Gloucester Township cleaned us out one time. They charged us $250. They came out with how many guys? 4 guys. They were 1 hour. 1 hour,
Well, it
$250.
says debris disposal, what else?
Okay.
That's
Is that enough?
Where does it say that?
It's in the same paragraph.
Part of the 250.
It's 3-1.
How often do they come?
Well, what John is
Because it's
proposing,
hazardous waste, so that's why I'm.
John's proposing once a month for Orchard Avenue, because that's the one that gets most of the waste. And remember the oil ordinance or the grease ordinance? So once a month in Orchard, and I think if you read the agreement, it says minimum of once a year for the other pump stations, but with the opportunity to do it other
And
times.
that's good and once a year?
The other pump stations are very, it's only people's homes.
They don't get it as much.
You know, if you're talking about
Although the one-
Forest,
the one
Glen
at-
Bar.
Although the one at
Nice
Third
enough.
does take a beat. The one at Third
You know,
does.
but this is an hourly arrangement, so if they felt that they wanted to go do it, they could call them out. And I think they specify they only want to do it on Wednesdays, because that's their free day. to do it. It's not a bad one.
It's really not, there were just some, not clear language issues, but the overall document was fine.
And one of the things they put on there that wasn't really clear, is say, for example, they pull everything out and there's a broken piece of equipment in there. That's what they meant. I knew what they meant, but it's not clear in there. They said, well, Runnemede will pay 100% of the part. Well, of course we would, it's our part. But it might read, are you paying the part on the vacuum? If the vacuum breaks, it's the pump inside if the floater breaks or something
So
like
we'll
that.
fix that.
So we'll make sure it's clear that it's the pump equipment, the Borough of Runnemede.
So will this be ready for the general meeting for approval?
Possibly.
First reading,
First reading.
first reading, right?
Well, it's not an ordinance,
Which
it's
one?
a,
It's just
It's
that.
just a-
yeah, we can clarify.
Yeah, I have to call George, is
Oh, you
his
have 2
name?
weeks.
George Reynolds is.
So you get a-
We have two.
Absolutely.
Any other-
Because if you look, the dates on there are immediate. The date basically says March 26th. For
Right.
1 year, they want to do this, they want to evaluate this $250.
I'd move that quickly if you could.
We could, well, we have 2 weeks.
I like the
We can
price.
get the
I
extras
think
and get
that's
it.
great.
Yeah.
2 weeks, no problem.
Let's see, possible agreement with Gloucester Township, resolution's done but no agreement. Just to clarify that this was, we agreed, and so did the council from Gloucester Township, that we would work with each other if we wanted to use the bottle machine. Now, remember, these agreements are agreements meaning we don't have to use it. So if we don't need to clean out, we don't need to clean out. The problem is,
But we have
the-
so many potholes.
the agreement doesn't clarify the cost.
There is one, right?
See, they at least say $250 for an hour cleanup.
Haddonfield.
Gloucester Township never inserted a cost. They never said it's, you know, that you pay the material cost, like right now, Mr. Wright gets bills directly from American Asphalt. Fine, if the bill comes right to us, there's no upcharge or anything like that. But it doesn't clarify the truck, the hour, the rate.
The process.
Little. You're getting so picky.
Picky you, right?
Well, I thought we were just going to borrow their equipment.
No, their operator comes out. He fills it up with oil, he fills it up with asphalt.
Can you just charge us per pothole?
So.
They go by the hour.
But
I
There's
thought
one time
we were
oil.
gonna use the
we just need to know
equipment.
what it is, you can't sign your agreement
All
blind.
right, and I emailed.
But he didn't get some price
How
on
much,
it.
how much per hour, what's your average pothole take you?
Yeah, but the point was, what they originally spoke to us about was an hourly rate for the machine. And that's what I said, you know, well, what do you want? You want $30 an hour? You know, and they're like,
That
oh.
includes travel and all that?
Well, it would be from Gloucester Township, $30 an hour, plus the cost of the man, plus the cost of the material.
Well, we need it,
That's it.
yeah.
But they didn't do it.
So we're gonna wait to hear a little more defined on their agreement?
Both our council and their council did this agreement, but it doesn't,
Did the resolution.
doesn't
Good
say.
idea.
We had a resolution, we had
agreement.
bad luck the day that we tested out that Friday.
Exactly.
It rained all
It was
day.
full of water.
Yeah.
So,
They didn't stick very well.
So where are we leaving this?
uh,
I think Mr. Wright should talk to Mr.
give us the
Mr.
agreement
Caucus.
so we can
Read
analyze
it.
it. We've already approved it, so.
So
Caucus,
Discussing the
he's
fact
not
that
happy
it's
with
not
that
here,
person. He felt
Can you get a copy of
What
it?
should come up with a rate?
but that's,
There is
no,
none.
we don't
We
have
don't
it.
have
What
one.
should say what their cost.
No agreement?
Don't you
Oh, they
think?
haven't made it ever.
What is
That's not an agreement then.
But, yeah.
Like he said, traffic time, you know, is there a cleanup at the end of the day? Does it take an hour to clean the machine? That would be built into a,
We
you
don't,
know, like a minimum 2-hour charge.
well, we need to know, because if we don't like the terms, we have to find something else.
Well, it's an opportunity because we can still go get our own hot patch.
Well,
We can still hire outside person.
The plan right now is.
So we'll get
They
clarification.
ran around with a
Hopper.
van, fill
They
potholes.
did, they did.
We're going to rent a hopper.
They
So
rented
it takes
the
2
hopper
weeks
the other
to-
day, didn't they? They said they were going to look into renting the hopper the other day.
Yeah, he said that there was a two-week wait, so I believe that, based on my last
To
report
rent?
I got, that we
Yeah.
were waiting for it to become available, and then
It's in
we
the
would.
van.
And then another municipality, I don't know who it was, said, would we be willing going 50/50 to buy a hopper? Was that Bennington, Belmar, Barrington? I don't even know who it was.
It might have been,
They were gonna buy one of these machines and say, do you wanna go 50/50? Or,
Which would mean we could use it whenever we wanted to.
well, without an agreement, is you'd have to say, you know,
Well,
we're Wednesday,
My
you're Tuesday.
comment was, they said, us 1 week, them 1 week, I said, how about like every other day or something, because, you know, what if we both have a ton of them at the same time, we gotta wait till next week to use it, so.
Right.
It's a good point. You know,
This is gonna be an issue real quick, right? This is gonna be like, wow, are we gonna get this going, right? Because of the holes, the weather.
Well, but it doesn't stop us,
Working on them.
They have been working.
it doesn't stop us from going,
We've done before.
you can go out there right now and go buy hot patch and go fill holes.
Okay.
They've got a demo saw where they can cut
And
it.
is this
out.
a lot repair?
There are a lot of problems.
There's a
The
lot.
only advantage of the hot machine is it keeps the
They
product
are
hot.
everywhere.
I saw a video of how they do it, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Well, that's a different machine. There's two different machines out there. One that shoots, this one that we're talking about, a hopper. Basically, you drive down to the asphalt plant, they fill it up,
Okay.
you fill up the tar, keeps it hot. Am I saying it right, Mark? You're allowed to interject, you know.
As
Well,
long as
you're
it's
doing
being
a good
done,
job.
not waiting on the agreement, then I'm okay with that.
They patched.
But I think it was only like $8,000 for the machine, or what was it? Maybe the machine wasn't that much. It wasn't that expensive. You know, it's not huge.
So what are we waiting for? We're just waiting for the agreement.
There's no
In the
agreement. I think what
meantime-
Joyce's point was, we agreed to do something that has no agreement.
And so did they.
That's-
I mean, I asked.
So who's gonna do the right on this?
They may be our solicitor, as well their solicitor.
It really is public works.
Let's do that, that's where we're at.
It's actually their public works superintendent should determine what the pattern of.
CFO.
I'm already gonna talk
Okay,
to the
Rich, I'm writing
solicitor
this
with
down.
respect, this is your zoning board solicitor.
But he needs to get a hold of their public works guy to say, what is the value of
You
your
want me to
machine?
talk to him about that as well?
Oh, okay.
Gravel license for Carnival, that's not a big deal. Virtual transport agreement, I do not know what that is.
We do this every year. We have an agreement with Virtua, which Fred gave it to me. This is the,
To take to the hospital?
yeah,
All right, so it's our agreement to take to the hospital.
correct. And I'll give it to Len.
That's just
You,
fine.
actually, Rich usually signs this, I think.
Discussion of stormwater pollution prevention team members. This was brought to our attention by our stormwater manager. Do you have that with you?
Is that Charlie Vermont?
It's John Gunn.
No,
You have it, John?
I gave it to John, didn't I? I don't have it.
No, we don't have it. All right, what it is, I don't know, we're looking into it right now. Is it an appointment by the mayor, approved by the council, or is it simply, like, for example, I think I told Bev about this. We're required under stormwater management to have a education person. So I thought, Pat, and then it was something, the public works director. There was like appointments that we had to make, and we haven't been making them since 2005. So,
I remember that was part of an approved stormwater plan that the council approved.
is that what it was back in '05?
Yeah, so.
But there was a different engineer on that name, right, Joyce? Who was the engineer on that?
Had it was still leading, that was in 2005, it was 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago.
Is that something that needs to be updated each year, or is it something that just
Even each file.
sits on the proverbial shelf of Trenton somewhere?
I mean, it came from
It
Trenton.
should be updated because there's protocol that John Gunn's supposed to go through.
Yes.
The education person is supposed to make sure that once a year you're.
Like the notification person would probably be the mayor who signs the letter or whatever.
Well, we do it every year. I have a letter in my
The
computer
best resolution.
that we put, change the
Well, that's
name
what I
of the
thought, but
mayor.
we were just finding out, you think it's just
And
make
it
a
goes in
resolution
the tax
appointing these
code.
people? We'll put it on there then. I think there were 3 or 4 names, it's not a big deal.
Didn't you already send that up when you gave him that information the other day? Wasn't that part of
He
what
was
he was
gonna
doing?
call and find out, was it an appointment that had to be approved by mayor and council, or was it simply just filling out names? Like, I think he literally has just been filling out names over the past few
I
years.
want to know if we have this team, what are we going to hold them to a certain level of like stormwater maintenance? Because in reality, I'm not thinking there's a whole lot.
Well, it was very interesting you bring that up. I was reading the application that John had filled out. The state was sending like 5 or 6 pages every year. And it was very interesting to see where there were yes answers. For example, did we pass certain ordinances? And then there were some yeses, which was great, like.
That was back when, we had to do that back in the.
Fine. But then some of the stuff wasn't done yet, making sure that everything was necessarily labeled and all this other stuff. So I agree with you. That stuff should come to the committee.
That's publicly communities.
The committee is 6 or 7 people, and some of the same people in different, you're right. If we were to look at that application and say, where are deficiencies, we might have been able to fix some of this. I haven't seen it, and I've been here for 6 years, and I've never seen it, so. Not that I get involved in everything, but I didn't see it. We'll fix it. Okay, admin CFO update. The floor is Mr. Wright.
Thank you. At this point, I guess there's
Oh, you can have it, actually.
so I go down in order. All right, first item up is the annual financial statement. Greg and I have been working very hard, although he had to take a little break because he had parties in his town and he's back as of last night. We're finalizing our last cleanup work.
Can you explain that a little bit so council understands what caused that problem?
Which part?
The reason Mr. Anderson is somebody we brought in part-time, the council has made it very clear that the problem is employees leave. Well, when employees leave, it causes vacuums. So what happened in Magnolia was the woman who was the construction clerk was also the payroll clerk. She found out that the town was looking to consolidate their construction department. She quit one day, and they had no one to do payroll anymore. So one of the problems in these small communities is not having these backup people. So here's the guy we were paying to come over here and help doing all this balancing for us. He no longer could come because he had to fill another position. I just want people to be aware this is something that always happens in these small towns. I hope I didn't say anything else. That was
It was 3 items, so, but, it slowed us down a little bit, then he has his parties in his town.
So-
But,
payrolls.
right.
Payroll, it's not popular yet, I understand. I know it's higher payroll.
Yeah.
Well, no.
But they weren't when he had stuff.
And then this, you know what, I want to go there for a second.
Really?
They have a payroll service.
Okay.
You still have to collect the payrolls from all the departments, whether it's electronic or whether it's by punch cards or whether
I've
it's
been
by
fighting
time
for
sheets. And you have to package it, you have to
I
enter the
get your
information
point.
into their system, you have to type everything in and send it off. So even if you have a payroll service, you still have to do the same work.
Not all the same.
But we have the benefit of being able to print out reports with all of our employees and know the times our budget packages automatically, it's all integrated.
I wasn't suggesting that we
Quite a
get
lot.
payroll service.
No, you just, you touched the nerve. But, so basically, one of the items that we've had in the past, I think last year, I was just looking up the document online, our annual financial statement, had one major issue, and that was finance. Now, we've been working on that from year to year. I think be signed on July 1st this year, so it's going to be done for April 7th week this year, at the week of April 7th. So we'll be 90 days ahead. That document is a companion document with the budget, which is the next item on there. We're going to be introducing the budget, which is it's not the double
That's
voting
April
show, we'll
7th.
do that at the hearing, but that's going to be the first introduction of the budget. It gets advertised, we have to wait 28 days, we have a public hearing. I think by that time, because the state has their act in order, we won't have any delays this year, so we'll be able to get.
And that's where I think everybody has an opportunity to look. For example, public events, is the money there? Should there be more money? I think we've already pretty much got those things. We talked about the bike patrol, plugging in all these different things that we want to spend money on this year. And then if we want to, we have the ability, am I correct, to move something around before we actually adopt.
Correct. If that's required, we can change the numbers around. We've met, I went to the public events committee meeting, so they have copies of all their information from last year. I have a list of what their priorities are for this year. I sat down with the recreation director, went over the priorities for this year with regards to recreation. I have his budget paperwork. Met with all the managers with the departments, worked out their wish list for the most part. And so basically, things will be ready in the next 2 weeks. There's some final issues to go over. We're going to discuss the structure tonight on one of the departments. I think we just about finalized.
Is this a closed session?
We should have a closed session. We'll do the personnel and the agreement, or contractual,
And the correspondence.
and the correspondence, okay.
So we worked out the issue with the structure. We have the hires, so we know where we're going. Police department, so it basically is fine tuning. I can tell you that the pension bills, public employees pension is roughly $129,000 this year. That's practically no increase. I think it's actually about a $700 decrease. The police and fire pension for this year is going up by $22,000, which isn't a bad number, but we've been spoiled because it's gone down the last couple of years. So we've had.
So it's going back up again?
Yes, and basically we had some
It'd save like
retirements.
$70,000, I think.
We trended through some retirements. So basically, once you retire in the New Jersey State pension system, you're supposed to be fully funded so that the cost of that employee after a couple of actuarial studies phases out. So we have new employees coming back on board now. So we had 2 new hires, and we're going to have 2 more. So over the next few years, we can expect to see that number bump up a little bit again. The good news, though, is on the insurance side, workers' comp and general liability only went up this year by $2,000, which is less than 0.5%. This probably isn't so much the prior year. And insurance, from a numbers point of view, is only going up, I think it's around less than 2%, but you really can't go by that. It doesn't matter what the cost of one person is.
It's like $12,000.
I don't know.
You said it went up to 2% in health insurance, about $12 grand.
No, that's what I'm saying, you can't really go by that because it
Oh, constantly.
maybe the cost of the premium for a family coverage changed by this much percent, but it really depends on how many employees you have in family, in parent, child, how many have in total, how many are opting out. So we're still finalizing those numbers, but it looks like, plus each year we've gone through steps, so we'll have a half a year of step 4 where it's max employee contribution for most employees.
So to let you know, starting July, the employees who are at their 4th year will now max out at this up to 33% of their premium cost, depending on their salary. So there's a chart. Basically, if they make over 90,000, 100,000, they pay 33% of whatever coverage they have. And then the chart goes all the way down, so if somebody's making as little as 20,000 or something like that, they may only pay 10% of their health insurance cost. And so what's interesting about it, though, is the person making 100,000 could have a $25,000 policy. The person making 20,000 could also have a $25,000 policy. That person's only paying, $2 grand. The other person's paying $7,500.
But
It's interesting.
several years ago, they were paying
But several years ago, they were only paying $260 a year. So it's very interesting. But our costs have skyrocketed also.
Yeah. No, correct. That's been tough. During the temporary budget period, you're operating on the first basically 3 months. We have an action item for tonight. I have a copy here. I'll hand out in a second. Actually, we have that on in case you have any questions. Doesn't have a number yet, so it's just to assign it a number. But this is just basically.
Is this right, 15? We got it?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
It's 1555.
1555.
I'll take it.
So that's going to be our action for tonight?
That'll be action item number 1.
Oh, there it is.
Did you do the other one, Kendrick?
What other one?
The second one, the reserve trust?
No.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Just,
Which one?
Reserve trust, that's coming.
Oh, this is interesting.
Basically, on this one, we have authorization through our trust fund to have a snow trust, which is now called the storm trust, because they don't limit it to just snowstorms. Right now, it has a zero balance in it. Basically, what you can do is, on years when you have, I guess, lighter years, you can charge off appropriations into that account, basically putting away for a rainy day. At the end of this month, so this is the last action meeting, our 2014 dollars are basically frozen. So we can't transfer them, we can't use them, and we don't have any 2014 bills left outstanding. So that money just sits in reserve until the end of the year, and then it goes back to surplus. So basically, I went through, and I apologize if I put the names on there,
Yeah.
but that was the public works other expense, the sanitation, salary wage and other expense, and the buildings and grounds other expense. And I basically took $5,000 out of the remaining balances from those accounts, and we're going to transfer $20,000 into the Sunshine Fund for Storm Trust. And basically, we probably spent to date this year for salt about what we spent all last year. So if we have a tough end of the year,
This money can pay for that.
this money could assist in that.
Okay.
Although I think it was a good investment, and also if you look at the salaries and wages, overtime we spent about $6,000 less from January 1st through March 20th than we did last year. So even with it's just the nature of the storms, they happen more during the daytime. We didn't have a lot of hours out there, and we've been putting the running down, we've been doing the salting with more salt. So it was more other expense cost than it was the salary and wage cost. So this is an investment.
Well, we had lost employees too. I mean, we lost an employee.
Correct, which is why the cost is up, so. But that was, when we were putting the people out and saying, come in on overtime factor. So basically, this is an investment into the Sunshine Fund. But the temporary emergency appropriation is the amount to get us through the adoption of the budget, which hopefully will be done by the end of May.
Okay. And the other stuff we'll do in closed session. Okay, possible action item on the first reading of the slip funding. Is that something that you want to do tonight? Mark, you think that's important that you do this evening?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Everybody understands what that is. That was the fixing the sewer lines, the trust money. Okay, letter denying funding of South Oakland Avenue from the DOT. Did everybody get a copy of that?
Yep.
Just to clarify, that was for the discretionary aid application you put in last July. That's not for municipal aids that are out in 2015. So we're still
Didn't say
waiting.
that.
Why didn't they say that?
It said in New Jersey.
You had us all going.
Oh,
I have the letter.
so this is a surprise to you?
It says
everything.
It says infrastructure, right?
Yeah, local aid
It
infrastructure.
says local aid funding programs are very competitive. Local aid infrastructure, so that
That's
means supplement,
discretionary.
that's discretionary. Why does it say discretionary?
Because that they got rid of that term.
Oh.
Is that the
Oh.
restricted funding for that road?
So
We don't know yet.
Well, we still don't
It
know.
didn't make sense, I just.
When do you know?
Last year they were announced in July.
We were crushed.
It's
And
always
it
been
didn't,
that.
so it's okay, we're still pending then.
Yeah, you got time to be crushed.
Prepare for it.
Okay, so that was when we tried to get money last year. It took them till this year to send us a letter.
To say that they don't have.
Okay, so we'll wait till July. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, make us feel a little better. Thank you, note from the Capelli family for flowers, that was very nice that we took care of that. Before we go to good and welfare, we'll go around the table. Patty, you want to, Eleanor, do you want to go first?
I have an awful lot.
We go last.
Let me just, okay, real quickly, we're getting ready for Youth Mayor and Council.
Yep.
And tomorrow we're meeting with Mr. Tilly, and actually we're meeting with the class.
Nice.
So we're going in there,
So you're gonna promote it a little
Going
bit.
to promote it. So hopefully we'll have a nice turnout.
Good.
Also talking tentatively about our yard sale that will have most likely, tentative date is June 6th, rain date is June 7th.
Nice.
Let's see. what
Do we
else
still have that banner? Does anybody know?
Yes, yes, we do. Yes, Nick has it, so.
Great.
We'll get it over here and then I'll get it over to Vandals. Let me see what else. Municipal Alliance had a dinner, beautiful dinner and a show at Triton, and I talked to the seniors on Saturday at our meeting, and they had a wonderful time. They just had a great time. Also, our med return box came today.
Saw the picture.
So, it is a box, looks like a mailbox, and whoever has medicines that's outdated or they want to get rid of can bring them here, dispose of it into the box, and our police officers will dispose of it properly. So it'll have.
So it's in their
It's
lobby.
in their lobby, yes. And, so that's really, really, really wonderful. I opened the box myself.
Okay.
And I think that's about it. We're moving along. I'm also into Memorial Day now. I just have to get an MC. I did call Father Chris, who's been doing our Memorial Day MC, so he hasn't returned my call yet. So hopefully I'll receive a phone call. If not, I'll be looking for a veteran MC, and I have a feeling mine. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Mr. Ranieri?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I have one more thing. I'm so sorry. Bob isn't here, and I'm not gonna read his whole report because he can do that. God bless you. He can do that on, at our council meeting. But I do wanna say that, the flashing lights that will be on Evesham Road, that the county has, that's gonna put in for us, they will do all of that on the school's Easter break. It'll be in front of St. Teresa's. The only change that they did make is the crosswalk will remain the same, and that was because I believe it was probably Father Joe said that, the crosswalk is directly in front of the doorway. So they were going to move it a little bit, so Father Joe would prefer to do that way. So they will start doing that on Easter break, and that's, yeah. So, yeah, that'll be nice. And everything else I'll leave for Bob.
Good?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Rich pretty much covered everything on the important end of finances. We're still operating with the emergency budget. The courts took in $17,200 for the month of February.
Who's making those collections? Is that just from us, or
That's
they have
just
a
the court,
collection
just
agency?
with the tickets, et cetera. police
Is that a
department.
collection agency doing
No.
that?
No, that's on the agenda.
That's another question.
I have to sign it.
Monthly basis. So that's February.
Yeah, it's just normal people taking it.
That's
You
it.
just need to sign it.
Right.
It is
And,
high.
we're waiting, we did get the spring banner in. We ordered, we're
The
only,
tulips?
no, we weren't able to get that. We couldn't get that in time. And we only ordered one banner. I left it up to pretty much whoever wants to look at it. And Patty looked at it. It's a nice banner. We have it.
Was it
The spring banner. It's a picture of a
Yeah.
bird and some beautiful
the bird,
flowers.
it's their finch.
It's the only company that can get it in quickly. And we,
That is for what, for the fight?
yeah.
Yeah, the spring
That's nice.
banners.
That's somebody told me. That's
Sorry about
awesome.
that.
You
No,
instigated
that's
it.
really awesome, considering I'm the one that started the ball rolling on
You
that, that's
instigated it.
great.
Yeah, it's here, it's here. I kind of left it up to, yeah. So we couldn't get them all in, so we got the one. So that's here. I don't know if anybody noticed the light is lit now at the Harry Williams building.
Notice.
Do you notice that? Looks good, doesn't it? I like it.
The sign, where the sign
Yeah, so we get some more advertising. If you want to communicate something to the town, you're going to get, 12 more hours of advertisement. It costs a whole lot to do it, so I'm real happy about that. And there's the office upstairs, we have telephone lines now are in, and there's a computer that operates up there now. That's tied up, that's ready to go if you want to do some work.
printer up there?
in my spare time.
We have a printer?
No, no printer. And that's it.
That's okay, I'm making fun. Hey, I do want to bring something about court, and I probably should have sent it to you. Obviously, what you have right there is the agreement to allow the collection agency. Council already approved this, but I think it just took a little while for the AOC to approve it, so I just signed it.
How about from 2013?
Is that how long it's been?
Until February of this year.
Okay, so it took them that long to approve it, so obviously they'll go after people who haven't paid, and then we pay a fee to them. It is allowed.
They get a percentage, right?
The fee comes out of what they collect.
Whatever they collect. But the second thing that was interesting, the court administrator would like Borough Council to consider putting an ATM machine in the building so that people can pay.
Great idea.
You know, question is where would it be located, be secured? You know, my personal opinion is us not to own it, let somebody else own it. They control it, do everything, and we just get our money. So that would be better, because I know during court,
What do we rent the space? We rent
they make a fee, I think.
Well, we can also.
We can make a fee. So, you know, I'll probably send it to you only because, you know, Teresa sent it to me because I've been actually, it's been a long time. The judge and the police have really been pushing that we should have a credit card machine working. But
Well, we
supposedly,
used to.
the state has changed the rules again, saying that you can't
Remember,
run it. It's very unique law for only our community. But regardless, the ATM solves the problem. We put an ATM in here, we simply, you know, people go out there and charge it and pay us full day. There was an argument about the fees, that we were not allowed to pay a fee. You know, if somebody owed a $200 fine, we were supposed to get them $200. We can't do $200 and then write a check for $6 to Visa, correct? That was the argument. Now, the borough agreed that we would pay that $6 to collect the money, but it just never.
well, the problem, I guess, we're not allowed to, there's a separation of branches, so obviously the judicial branch is on the other side of the electric fence. We don't see their bank accounts, we don't touch their bank accounts, we don't have access, we have nothing to do with their bank accounts. And basically, the problem is that they say that they can't charge the fee for their credit cards going into their bank account, to their bank account, that the borough has to pay for. And it can't be through the budget, it has to be a transaction at the bank. So basically, I said, just charge my account. You know, it's that simple. And TD Bank said they were not capable of having one account that the money goes into and another account that gets charged. So it was beyond me, so I basically referred the court to PNC and told them to reach out to the PNC because they want to do business with us. They purchased our bond anticipation note this year at a very good rate, and they sent a proposal over for any needs that we may have, so I put Teresa in touch with that gentleman. It appears that if we go forward with that, I just have to sign off on the agreement.
Wow.
Even
For
though,
which one, the credit card machine? Or
no, for the credit card machine, if we're going that route.
So we have two options. We could stay with the credit card machine, and the
We
fees are
could
just
vote.
paid by the borough, not the court. Or, is that what you're saying? I think the ATM is a really neat idea.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive when it's just.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I find it even more difficult to understand how that works. I guess we're gonna have to open up a PNC account on our side so that they can charge it.
Well,
So money is-
But he's talking about the credit card, you know.
Yeah.
I think the ATM gets us all our money. We
The
don't pay
ATM will be
fees.
used more than just people paying their court fees. People in the town, the people walking by will be using
We
it.
should get some proposals about what you.
Well, she started looking into it, and I think the Cherry Hill municipality put one in their lobby. Maybe that's, you know, that was the start. I don't know. At least that's what Teresa told me. I think she said Cherry Hill did it. So, something to think.
It's worth looking into.
Yeah, but it's definitely been a problem. There's been a lot of arguments that we should be getting people to pay while they're here.
Mhm.
These payment plans are difficult to enforce. It's a lot of extra work. So, you know, I think the idea is negotiate, get them to pay. and-
Nick's a nice guy. I've been in this, so you want to pay the plan? Okay, I'll get you one done.
I'll make you sit and wait till the end.
Wait till the very end of court.
Yeah, which is the way to make them.
Well, people miraculously come up with it.
Well,
It's like a Christmas miracle.
Okay, so the court ATM, well, we're gonna definitely work on it, but nobody has any concerns or questions? The only thing I thought we should have definitely a camera on it. Now, last time we had a meeting, didn't we ask the chief of police to give us a proposal on cameras? Did he ever submit that?
The
Cameras
guy
for
from-
what?
The guy from ASG came in, I think there's
To
a.
be on the
For the
ATM,
cars?
yeah, to be on.
Well, no, remember we talked about that there wasn't enough cameras in the building.
Oh.
There were blind spots, we had a potential issue, and there was no way to see if anybody came in that door. So he said we should have a camera down that hallway, so then we said, okay, you see the problem, you fix it, so he was supposed to come back. I thought he met with John.
There was I was giving a folder, there's I guess a first draft of a proposal, Paul, off the building with the gentleman, they gave something as part of the plan document, but there.
Has been proposed.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
Maybe we should ask him.
There has been a follow-up, I'm saying.
You know,
I
we're
mean,
talking about security.
I hope putting.
Put them in
on my
the police
desk
department,
doesn't
right there
mean-
on their entrance way.
Well, they're the ones who control the cameras anyway, that was the logic. They control the cameras, he should look at it, he should look at it, so. Okay, nothing.
The wall, the wall.
Mr. Wood,
No,
Closed session?
Closed session.
your show.
I'm up to long.
Man, that's gonna be a
We've
challenge.
had a very busy month. I gave everybody a copy of the status report. Under general engineering, Singley Avenue, I drove in a project with a potential project with Bob Farrell, and at Rich's request, we were looking at that road to see if we can use existing bond money
It's a nice
to do
idea.
some improvements. There are 4 areas that need some work, so I submitted a proposal early today and emailed it out to everybody, so that's in your packets as well. But there was some areas at the intersections that have drainage problems, and there's a place where some roots are starting to upheave the road and curb. So there are areas that could use some improvements.
Didn't we just close out that apartment?
Same?
And the money is available. Everyone understands
This
the
is
issue
where
here?
this is where it ended, brother.
Same thing was done several years ago. There was money in the check.
This is
It
where
wasn't all
they
used.
stopped.
There's enough
They
money to keep
stopped.
going a
They-
little bit
they
on
left
Singley
a lot.
without reappropriating the bond or
I
things like
ride that
that.
street all the time.
So I think Mark looked at how much money was available left over from the original Singley Avenue bond and figured we could get that far. Correct?
Well, there's 4 areas. It's not, it's 4 distinct.
Oh,
it's
to
not-
fix problems.
Right.
Okay, I didn't-
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's great then.
The year 37, last month, you passed the resolution for submitting for Washington Avenue, which submitted that project description form.
So that'll reimburse.
So that should get you $37,000 once the county approves the funding.
So that money will go back into Washington Avenue.
Yes. Yes.
People know what
The Borough safety improvements and space planning, our architects have submitted a proposal on March 11th regarding trying to make the area more secure with bulletproof glass and things like of that nature, and also to try and do better space planning now that the borough's needs are changing and personnel are changing.
Do you believe with your proposal that could include the egress issue?
It could, as long as we don't have to get into any structural
Okay.
design, but as far as the concept of coming up with a stairway or something like that.
I think this is really important. This is the one biggest safety issue we have in the borough. All departments are locked. All departments are secure. The court is secure. The construction department is secure. Every single department is secure. The area where we collect $18 million is not secure. So
Keep $18 million.
we don't try to keep 18 million. It's not all cash, only on when the seniors come in.
That's what checks.
So this plan would be to close off that front, but at the same time, because of the structural changes that have happened in the borough, help redefine the downstairs a little bit better. But it was also brought to our attention to help improve upstairs. There's an egress issue, which means that we need another means of getting downstairs from upstairs. So what I just asked was, if we're looking at redesigning the downstairs, could we put basically a set of stairs somewhere to go upstairs? And the advantage then would be is to make everything much more accessible for emergency management, for the conference room, for the offices, for storage, all those kinds of things that are upstairs that are really not properly protected. Could be winding stairs. The question, though, is it becomes a security issue that if we have a second set of stairs, now we still want to secure the area where all the money is and where the personnel is under in the finance and in the municipal clerk's office.
That could be as simple as having a door that's locked, that is only open in case of a fire, and it sets off an alarm, so if somebody's trying to sneak in, an alarm will go off.
Okay,
So it's possible to be done.
it is possible.
But for it to start getting into,
Another phone call, I'm gonna get the building.
You're gonna be-
no, you'll hear that alarm if it's during the day.
Is it possible to do it from
Do you have to go?
No, not yet.
Oh.
We have time.
Well, we'll jump right to it.
Because that would save, that would fix.
We do have to do a vote.
Yeah, upstairs from this side of the wall.
Well, we could,
We need 2/3 for,
so yeah, we can look at
Okay,
that.
so Mr. Wright's gonna figure out, and we're gonna get these guys moving.
planning sense, yeah.
Planning
That's
side.
easy.
Planning
That's in the
side.
engineering.
Do you need a resolution from us to authorize you to do the planning?
Any of these proposals, we have like 5 proposals in here, whatever.
I like the resolution. You all like a resolution that makes it clear that we all agree that we wanna, well, we're gonna say, for example, the Oakland, the Singley Avenue, we should, as a council, agree to say, okay, the money's sitting there for Singley,
Yeah.
go forward with the drawings. So same thing with this Borough Hall Safety Program. I say we put this on as a resolution that says we approve the engineer to do the drawings and include the egress. Approve the contract.
For Singley Avenue, we contract out.
Okay.
Survey, contract out, and putting it out.
I mean, I'd like to approve both of
Because
these.
no matter what the plans are with the borough in the future, what he proposed has to be done.
It has
That's
to,
all, I looked at the plans, yeah, no matter which way we go with.
has to be.
Everything else.
These are issues that have been lingering for 15 years.
Right.
15?
And you'll feel more
I've
secure.
been here 15 years.
So 16 years.
In the building.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can do it all.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's right away. Harry Williams Gymnasium Roof and Lighting, our architect met with the LED vendor. They're trying to put together a plan, and so that'll help you with the cost proposals you're getting.
Good.
We just want to make sure that if you're getting a cost from people, you're comparing
Apples
apples
to
with
apples.
apples. And we just want to make sure that whatever we are proposing is going to be architecturally make sense with codes and all.
Now, have you ever done any of the New Jersey Energy grant where they give you back 75%, but you have to use a specific vendor? Have you done that in other municipalities? Mr. Law?
Green, right?
Yes, no matter what, it's going to be energy efficient.
I just don't want to, I don't want to, you guys are working on that, I don't want to spend money for probably working on it, so I want to.
But I think Bob using the New Jersey Energy person, that saves us 75%, but it might be so onerous that it's more expensive than us just hiring somebody. Even if you get 75% back, if it costs us 100,000, I mean, what is your, you have no experience with that, New Jersey Energy?
I personally don't. I'm not sure what our architects do.
You want to talk to Bob and make sure that we're, okay.
Um,
There's two options to get this lights done. You can pay with our own money, which is what he's talking about, energy efficient.
Okay.
New Jersey Energy, if you guys Google it, it's basically the school district did it one year. They brought somebody in, they did an evaluation, that's one route. Or you could simply hire a contractor, but it's only one contractor allowed for the whole South Jersey. It's Hutchinson. And you can only hire Hutchinson. Hutchinson comes in, evaluates it, does it, and then you just pay your 25%, and the state picks up the 75.
So it's not reimbursement?
I don't believe,
We don't have to shell out 100 and wait for
I
7.
don't believe so.
That's nice.
Is that how you read it?
Yeah.
If that's the way it works, I like that.
25%.
Same thing with heating and air, so on each of the HVAC. I think we should do both routes, in my personal opinion.
What's that?
Oh, if he's just gonna have somebody evaluate the lighting, I'm fine with that, because I want Hutchinson to do a lighting that works in the room. And if they're gonna do it,
Somebody had talked to Steve, I forget, but there was questions on the different level of lights, if you're gonna have a meeting versus having a sporting event. So Steve Bach was investigating this as far as having
you don't want the bright lights for them.
LEDs that are not dimmable, but you can have different levels. So
Okay, turn more of them on and turn less of them on.
Right,
Okay,
so they were looking into that,
I think that's great.
but we can.
And then you've got the roof repair, because once again, we did approve $100,000 to fix the roof, to fix the lights,
So
to
we
fix
just
the
wanna see where we are.
HVAC.
We just want to see where we are in the budget, and this was just for.
And the county
budget.
promised us 25,000 for the floor.
So the parking lot concepts were submitted to the engineering committee last month. There was 2 different options depending on how many cars we can get. But in conjunction with that, we were asked to look at the brick walkway out here as far as a safety issue. There are some minor discrepancies they can probably address once you get the parking lot, and you're going to do parking lot improvements. We could be upgrading. the
Fixing
brick.
that side.
Yeah, because there's some drainage issues. But as far as the icing, it's just something you're going to have to take care of with ice melt.
As
As
it
goes.
happens.
Brian's been more than better.
On the walkways, getting Brian the walkways.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sweet, isn't it? You ever see that?
But for someone's homes, people's homes.
Urgent needs to be addressed in this
You don't
point.
have to show. You could do it there.
South Oakland Avenue, we talked about the discretionary aid, we got that letter, but to date, in 2015, municipal aids have not been announced. Last year, it was not announced until July. And
So we shouldn't do any drawings until we know that the money's coming.
Because I don't know if you're, I mean, I'd love to get started with it, but if you don't have the funding,
All right, we'll
do
talk
it.
about that one. We'll
So
figure it
it's
out.
just a matter of,
It's gonna be a problem.
Because we talked about even doing stages,
No, that doesn't-
as we might want to think about getting the drawings done.
and we can.
Because we've all said we want Oakland done,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, my goodness,
I
yes.
think the drawing started.
Did you give us a proposal on drawings? You want to give us a proposal on drawings? The only thing we thought about was if there wasn't enough money, could we do it in phases?
Yes, and we'll set.
So we couldn't afford the, whatever, we do 100,000, 100,000,
I
100,000.
looked at it today, the worst area is the center of the.
So maybe work from the center
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Center of the road's the worst area.
At the lowest
Right
spot.
at the bend.
The lowest spot's
Lowest
worst.
spot where we have the inlet issues. And we had put in, when we did our cost proposal for the two state aids we put in for, we were upgrading those inlets and
inlets.
the piping underneath the road.
What's,
So,
what do you think our chances are of getting the money?
We were denied last year, we should be on this year. It was usually every other year they would give it to
that's
us,
how
right?
it had been
Yeah, I
going.
have a good feeling.
Yeah,
So, so you have good feelings this year? You have good feeling?
Irish Hill Road, I guess Bob Farrell was talking to, Joe
Joe
Sienna,
Sienna.
they're trying to get it on their,
And we're certainly, we're waiting on a date.
yeah.
May,
Is that what you heard?
May?
I talked to Josie on that May.
The infrastructure trust is where we had a majority of our work. We surveyed over 4 miles of sewer pipe. We got our plans done, submitted to the state. Thanks to Rich's help, we were able to hit that button before 5 PM. But it was quite a task to get all that work done. We did get the submittal done.
Now, these are the worst pipes
Yes, the deepest.
and the worst.
According to John Gunn and Pat Moriarty, we met with them, and it's the deepest ones, and if you had to go replace them, you'd be into the.
Like we did in
Just-
last year.
Yes.
That was a nightmare.
So currently, we're in the, we submitted a design package to the state for approval. We're now moving those design documents to contract documents, so that's what we're working on in-house, but we're still waiting to hear back from the state as far as the actual application itself. Bowers Road, it's another project we have done, schematic design, we're ready to go full tilt, so we submitted a proposal back on February 24th, so that's another thing if you want. to
Yeah,
move
we got
forward.
funding on that.
Yeah, that's up to Rich to decide if you have.
And that's that part, that's not part of the bike path. That's different.
Right. And same way with, same way with.
It's up to the council if they want to appropriate.
Did you say there's
Well,
no
I'm
funding
just
there?
saying.
We have to appropriate funding in this
How
year.
much is that?
It was a lot.
Yeah.
200,000?
Bowers, it's
No.
like 90,
Yeah, it wasn't.
We just have to fund it this year.
yeah, it was in the February report, so I'm not sure what the number was.
Can I see the plans?
It's just a cost.
Yeah, I can show you.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, we keep it upstairs. That's why I wanted to.
You do?
Well, we should even have a drawing. I think Bob had both drawings. You should just leave them
Bob has
upstairs.
it.
If
Yeah,
anybody
he
wants to
should.
see
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same with the bike path grant, we had to come up with the schematic design, and we're ready to move forward with that as well. What's that?
The bike path was a ton. It was a ton.
Well, there's a lot of pipe work to do, and that's, if you have drainage issues,
Okay,
you don't
all
have to
right.
fix. So, yes. Washington Avenue project, we.
Washington Avenue, we're good.
Yeah, we just submitted a final closeout letter regarding, release retainage. There were some documents that I forwarded to the solicitor for him to review as far as maintenance bond and stuff like that.
This is for April 7th, then you want to close that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark, I would like to change this process going forward,
Okay.
and I would like you to, in the future, get the concurrence from Len that everything is okay on the solicitor side, and then double check with Joyce whether it's in writing or not, and verify that the prevailing wage certs are in. So this way, when I get this letter,
Okay.
I can cut the check. Because we always run into problems because there is no mechanism in place for me to know that Joyce has reviewed all the certified payrolls and that Len has reviewed it and everything's okay. And then the
So it goes backwards right now, goes to you instead of this, you think it should go
Well,
from
no,
land this
I'm
way?
just a CC, it also CCs the other people, but there's no mechanism for them to get back to me without me going and searching again, so. But if Mark's gonna give the closeout and make final recommendation for payment, then I think everything should be in
So
order
the certs
first,
have to be,
so I can just cut the check.
Well, I will in the future just make sure that I pay attention and hit reply all when I respond to Mark's things, so you'll know. I mean,
As easy as that?
Well, for
I
my,
guess one stop, one stat.
for mine, I'm sure it's got a little bit different stuff to do, but for my end, so Rich knows that I reviewed it and I approved it. That's fine with you.
I want you to have approval before I can send the letter.
Right, because then the vendor's also calling the next day and they want the check,
So once I get the closeout documents from the contractor, I'll forward them to Len. And then I'll get something to Joyce saying we're looking to lease retain very good.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
So and then once I get something back from Len and from Joyce, I'll put the letter out saying we recommend release of retained. Is that just the release retained, or you want every payout that involves?
That's just for
Just the
confirmation.
final? Okay.
Was the maintenance bond out there? No, there's one that said about a maintenance bond.
That's already done.
Do we have to do a resolution to accept the maintenance bond for that one?
There's nothing really new on the last two things, the generator, we set those out docs there, but I'll do the same thing, moving forward with those closeout docs as well. And that's all I have to report on.
Thank
Anybody else
you.
have any questions?
All right, Miss Kelly, she's got 3 notes.
Mom, we'll give her 5. That's it. This morning I attended the Camden County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, and we were awarded $1,000 because we were in full compliance and we have a passing grade. And this is our nice award for 2014. And that will go on the plaque that we have in the Borough Hall. Okay? We also, this is our $1,000. Well, very nice. I like to go to meetings and get money.
Okay, that's fine. Take
Okay.
it from us and give it back to us.
Then I received a nice thank you letter from Chief Carey of the Collingswood Police Department. He had asked Chief Daly for assistance in questioning a Spanish, a Latino person. And Officer Ortiz was sent over there to interview him. And not only did he get a very good interview and a very, but he got a confession out of the guy. And so anyhow, it's, I just wanted to thank you real quick for sending your officer over to assist with an interview. He was not only helpful, but also very professional, which speaks volumes about your agency. Have a good St. Patty's weekend. Kevin Carey, Chief of Police of Collingswood. So I just wanted to put that on the record. One of the main things I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it now so that we are in shape for the summer, is the bicycle patrol. And I submitted the proposal that Chief Daly gave me, and it covers from April until the end of October. It's $40 an hour, it's 180 hours, it's 22 patrols, I believe. It's gonna cost $7,200 for all summer, April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. They will be on patrol in the evenings, during the days, for all the special events that we're having. And I think it's very reasonable, $40 an hour.
The committee wanted to do it, it's a budget item.
The committee
It goes on
has
the-
been, yeah, the committee has
It's a
been,
budget, it goes in salary and wage,
yeah.
you know, and the chief still has discretion over some of these, but I think your dates and all, you know, the special events, I think.
Well, we looked at the dates, and we were all happy with the dates, so that was my
that's
recommendation
fine.
from our committee. So if we could get that on the council,
It's a budgetary item, it's not even.
we don't have to do a
No
resolution.
resolution for this.
Okay? So bicycle
And it is his
patrol.
discretion, you understand, it is still his discretion, the day-to-day operations, he decides if he wants to cancel one, he has that discretion.
Oh, yeah. Closed session?
Yeah, why don't we just bring that up slowly?
The metal detectors, we had talked about that as a safety issue, and
I think the committee has to reevaluate that, because you have to really look at the costs. I think it would be really hard for us to justify spending a few $100s to have officers out here to make sure that Val's needle pointing, and Dan, you know, he's not bringing something in right now. I think
Well,
safety is always a concern, but they can't just, you know, you can't just say that there's a problem without a solution, and the solution has to be a little more detailed than, you know, there would be, it could cost the borough, if you want to have bike patrol, we could spend even more for security. I don't know if, I think we have the right at any time to bring security into a situation, but I don't think it would be justified to spend that money. I don't know how everybody else feels,
At this point, yeah.
You know-
If climate changes, it might be things.
yeah, and we had the mechanism to bring somebody in if we wanted to.
Well, I just wanted to put it on the table because it was an issue that came up at the safety meeting.
I understand.
And so by all rights, I did have to bring it up, especially before council. Also, at the police meeting that we had for the general staff of the police and the administration, it was brought up that there is no metal detector over here at the triangle where the entrance is to the police department, because they have a lot of domestic violence cases and they're afraid that people might come in trying to do harm. And there's no way that they can get a metal detector in that little area. So,
That would also be the chief's discretion.
yeah,
If he wanted to purchase a wand, he could do that in his operation budget. He could do rules and, you know, his own rules and regulations, how they bring people
what
in.
about coming in that door? Isn't that door
I
locked
recommended that
Yes.
it's possible that,
Okay.
I understand the issue, is that you have guys working in the ready room or the radio room and somebody comes in, and I think it's really an operational issue, should they be using that?
If they want to tint that window, I think that was a suggestion, tinting the window.
No, but this is, 3 people come because they want to file a complaint.
Oh,
So Officer A goes to the door, opens the door, and says, come on in, basically to the main body of the police headquarters. And I think I don't think that putting a metal detector there is cost effective, and basically what happens is every person that comes through that door is gonna set off a metal detector. They're gonna have keys in their pocket, they're gonna have a cell phone, they're gonna have something that's gonna set it off, they're gonna have to get out the wand, they're gonna have to wand them to find out what it is. So there's 2 issues. There's a chief order for wanding the people. B, they go through the side door here and go through the one that we already have. I think it just becomes an.
but I think it's an operation for him to decide.
But the chief also wanted to comment on that, because I don't think he's in favor of that, but I don't speak for the chief.
Okay, well, it was just an item that came up, and we looked at it, and we discussed it as a committee. Okay, the drug, where are we gonna put the drug box?
It's already there.
Where?
It's in the lobby, the police lobby.
In the lobby of the police department?
Right-
Okay,
right next
and
to
it's
the window.
fine, and that's good?
I think there's a
Everybody's
camera
happy
there, too.
with it?
Hope they
There's a
don't
camera
go
there.
smuggling.
Yeah.
Okay,
Through
okay.
his teeth?
At the safety meeting, they suggested mats and runners at the various entrances.
We're all in agreement.
It's a very good idea. If someone's slipping, it was a problem during this bad weather. That's
Yeah.
very easy.
Yeah, so that can be solved. We're meeting with the new EMT this Monday, morning, 9 o'clock. Is that going to interview with your staff meeting?
No,
So Monday, 9 o'clock, we're supposed to meet with.
Who's meeting?
It's just,
It's-
I don't need to be there. This is a temporary appointment.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
or
fine.
personnel.
No, it's public safety because it's a 6-month temporary appointment.
Yeah.
There's only one guy who's eligible.
9
So
a.m.
it makes it real simple.
it's a meet and greet.
It's a meet and greet.
He's already a current employee.
Where-
It's a current employee.
Where we meet,
You could probably meet right at the firehouse or meet here.
Well, not at the firehouse.
Meet here.
Yeah, meet here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why not?
We can meet upstairs.
Coffee's good.
All right, I'll tell Fred LeBurton. And it's a fellow by the name of Kyle. And he has a funny long name.
Yeah, that's it.
I know, Lappenbach or something like that. I've only met him to shake hands.
And he'll be appointed on April 7th?
Hopefully,
April
Because we'll
7th,
have-
6-month temporary appointment?
yeah, yeah. And I'd like to get a new civil service list. I don't know if that's attainable for, because I think we need to hire another special. We only have 3 specials, and Brooks is on short leash, you know. So we only have 2 fellas that are working for specials. So I'd like to hire another special.
Specials don't come off the list, so we're allowed 3 specials based on our statement.
4.
You move the floating all the way to.
4,
Okay,
that's my
that's
math.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
4.
That, if we're going to go with 4 specials, that's just like a labor appointment or a clerk appointment.
I think what Mrs. Scott is saying is that if there's someone on our civil service list currently, do we want to send one of those guys who are on our list, who may be a potential officer in the future, do we want to send them to the list? Well, then we don't need to call new one. What we should do is look at the list we currently have and see if any of those individuals
Right, I mean.
want to go to class 2 school,
Yeah,
and then they can go work for
Yeah,
part-time. I think that's what you were saying. I think that's what they were suggesting.
because number 3 was passed, and he lives in town and is
Yeah.
interested, so.
But I think we can look at that list first and see if any of those gentlemen want to go to class 2 school. If not, we just have to advertise.
Well, we'll have a public safety committee meeting and talk about that.
I think that was.
Okay,
that can-
all right, lighting and heating in the firehouse. I know that this is a touchy subject because it's not our property. But, they're going to have the lighting done themselves. They're gonna purchase all the equipment themselves.
They have a volunteer fire company that owns the building.
So,
We pay them rent.
$7,000, okay? The heating, I think you're involved with that. Okay. Now, they don't actually want us to pay for that. They will cover those costs. However, what they're suggesting is that maybe we might increase our rental fee, like
Well, that's the same
$1,000 a
thing.
year.
That's the same thing.
But if we give them a couple thousand more a year in rent,
So what it means, 2,500?
yeah,
Okay, let's look at it in the budget. Because what we do right now currently, so everyone's aware, they own the building, we own the trucks. We own the equipment, they
we're getting a new.
maintain the building.
I don't
They pay
want-
the electric bill, we.
I don't want that building not to be able to be lit so these men can work. Right now, you can't see a thing.
If they're raising our rent a little bit, I think we could look at,
2,500.
it's called an aid to volunteer fire companies. It's not unusual, it's done all the time. I think we give them 30,000 right now.
We're gonna put heat in the public works garage?
What's that?
We're gonna put heat in the public works
We
garage?
do it anytime they put a requisition. You know.
Oh, really? Like, we
Yes.
haven't done that?
No, they haven't.
Cut me a break. We've gotten estimates, don't even go there.
Okay, there's a difference between a requisition and
Please.
Okay, so you'll consider that.
Well, they have to just put in, it would be, like I said, looking at the budget, going from 38 to 40, I don't think that is a huge increase.
Right, this year, I mean, we've done this in the past, this year includes an increase over a number of periods because they bought a stretcher. We bought the first one, and there's 2 rigs, so the fire department put out the money up front and procured the second one, so we're dealing with that. We've increased the cable, to include the cable because our operations run through the internet as well as theirs. So again, the lighting in the firehouse, our employees are working in there.
But we don't pay the electric bill, do we?
No, if our
No,
company
but I'm saying
pays.
we've increased.
So we save the electric bill, it's
But you know what?
Closer to.
The money that they're gonna save in putting up this new.
Will help us in the long run.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
I think we're
a
well
huge
below the
saving.
state cap, which is somewhere much higher than what we're saying.
so
You
you
know,
think that we
40
could
grand
maybe
doing
go to
okay.
2,500?
I think we can work that in.
Okay, all right, oh, good news. On the HIF, we're getting a 5% rate decrease in the prescription plan, which is half the premium. So that comes through in July. Did you hear that, Joyce? The 5% we're getting on the HIF, the prescription. We're getting a 5% decrease, yeah, in the premium.
Except for
So,
everybody.
yeah, well,
Or
there's
you
the
swear.
thing, here's the thing, HIF has a lot of surplus money.
That makes me feel.
We were hoping for 15%, but because the Hep C and the new injection for cholesterol are very, very expensive drugs, they're going to be cautious and just give us a 5% credit. So it's something is better than nothing.
How much money is that? 5%?
5% of half of your premium is prescription
But I
costs.
mean, how much is that? $8 or-
No, all we're getting is the rate.
They have injection for cholesterol?
Yes, very expensive, very expensive. And the Hep C is very expensive, the drugs for Hep C. That's all I had.
Okay. That was easy.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Okay, let's do the action items. Action item number 1 is resolution number 1555, emergency temporary appropriation for 2015, general fund, sewer fund. Yada, yada. Do I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
I second that motion.
A motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Four
Okay.
ayes, two absent.
The resolution is adopted. And we have resolution, 56.
56 is the snow trust.
Resolution authorizing transfer from the 2014 appropriation reserves to the it's called the storm trust now, right?
They said you don't have to change the book.
Change it.
It says storm in parentheses.
Storm trust, I think it's right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Four ayes, two absent.
Okay, I don't have it on me, but do we want to do the action on the ordinance slip lining funding? Is that something that we have? Mr.
I
Wright?
agree, we're gonna do it on title only. The amount is, 1,536,312.
Okay, what ordinance? Do we have an ordinance number?
I don't know where we are, 15, maybe, I don't know, 1509 maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay, so I would say, we have ordinance 1509, possibly.
I have to check.
Dog tethering is
Okay, dog tethering is eight.
So maybe that is.
So this will be, does someone want to make a motion on the ordinance to approve the $1.5 million?
1,336,312.
This is the slip lining and the sewer fund. This is by ordinance by title only.
Is this a bond or just approving
No, it's bond warrant.
it is a bond.
I so move.
To make first reading,
First reading.
approval first reading of the next, what's the wording, Joyce?
First reading and advertised according to law with a public hearing to be held at the council meeting in May, Rich? When do you want?
You couldn't do it April 7th, could we?
Can't do it April 7th, because you don't have time to publish.
No, I don't have-
Do it
I don't
at
have time.
caucus meeting.
Oh, we'll do it at the caucus meeting,
So
okay.
you're talking about the April caucus,
Yes,
whenever that is. I don't have
I don't have my calendar on me either.
It is, it's the 28th.
Anyway, 28th, on April 28th. The caucus meeting on April.
Caucus meeting on April 28th.
Who made the second?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Passio. So we have a motion by Mrs. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Can we do,
Four ayes.
we have enough, so 4 ayes, 2 absent.
4 ayes, yes. Okay, we're going to go to good welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please give their name and address, come to the microphone. Seeing no one, I think, is there a motion to close the public portion?
So move. I'll second that motion.
Any motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Need a motion to go into closed session to talk about some contractual obligations, some personal obligations, and I think that was it.
And we'll be in there for,
10 minutes,
25.
no more than 20. 20
It
minutes.
is on
I'm not going to take action.
We will not take action. Is there a motion to do this?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're closed.